We're back with another video. Rapper Lil Baby has found himself in the world of trouble. In July 2024, 13-year-olds Yakety Davis and Lamont Freeman were fatally shot during a birthday party in Atlanta. Authorities have linked their deaths to escalating gang violence, which they assert began when rapper Lil Baby, whose real name is Dominique Jones, filmed a music video in a rival gang's territory in May 2024. This act led to a shooting during the video shoot, injuring 3 men, and subsequently triggered a series of retaliatory violent incidents across the city. Investigations revealed that a high-ranking gang member, using a contraband cell phone from within a Georgia prison, ordered the hit that resulted in the boys' deaths. To date, 7 individuals have been arrested and charged with murder in connection to this case. Authorities are offering a $50,000 reward for additional information. Atlanta Police Department held the press conference today, pointing fingers at the rapper for his involvement in the crime. Lil Baby team has yet to release a statement clearing his name, but let's check out what the police said exactly. Roll the footage.
Tragic incident. I stood here and told you the story how on July 2nd, just after midnight of last year, we had 2 13-year-olds and 11-year-old celebrating the birthday of Lamont Freeman. He had just turned 13. And he got to experience about 30 minutes of being a teenager before his life was taken. And when I turn it over to Major Woolfolk, he's going to discuss some of the investigative techniques and really the gang involvement and the gang ties that led to this incident taking place. But one thing I want to make absolutely clear, and I said it then and I'll say it again, these kids were innocent victims. So when we talk about the gang involvement, these 2 13-year-olds and this 11-year-old, they didn't have a gang involvement. We didn't have interactions with them as a police department. They were good kids in the community, and unfortunately, their futures, their lives were taken. So I do want to thank all the community members that gave us tips and information on this case. And while I can't say necessarily that one individual tip broke this thing open, each tip is like a little puzzle piece. And we took every one of those, glued them together, and we're able to thankfully bring this case to resolution. And I will say that even though we have made 7 arrests, we never stop working cases. So if anyone has more information, we would ask that you do bring that forward, provide that to us, and we will certainly investigate every detail of those tips. So right now we're going to show some images of the individuals that we have made arrests on. So 5 of these individuals we already had in custody, we had arrested. Some of them were in jail on previous charges not related to this. So once we establish probable cause, we're able to serve the jails in which they're housed with these arrest warrants. So the first one there is Mr. Sanders. Let's flip in. Richard Hollis. Reginald Thomas. Marcus Crawford, Mr. Mobley, Traydon Crawford, and Traydon is one of the individuals that we took into custody yesterday. And then the final 7th individual is Mr. Ollie Caldwell. If you notice with these individuals, 2 of them share the same last name. It's because they are brothers. So it seems like there was some type of family history of gang activity, gang involvement. And unfortunately, on the night of July 2nd, that escalated to 2 13-year-old children losing their lives. So I'm going to turn it over to Major Ralph Woolfolk, and he will discuss a little bit of the gang conflict and some of the investigative techniques and procedures that we used to get us here today. So thank you.
Thanks, Major. My name is Major Ralph Woolfolk of the Violent Crime Interdiction Section. And I first want to say the overall theme of this case is grown men playing gangster that left 2 of our children in graves and a community in fear. And we know in these communities that strength is about building community, not destroying it. And in this case, leaving 2 young people in their grave. I want to thank the community that was here with our investigation team from the inception of this incident. Out on the night of the incident, we not only received investigative assistance from this community, but we also saw a community that was full of compassion and love. Video evidence depicted several people in this community pouring out of their apartments, attempting to triage wounds, attempting to transport persons to the hospital, and making several 911 calls from this community that were used throughout our investigation that led ultimately, with their assistance, to some of the apprehensions in this case. I want to also thank the FBI, who has not only been an incredible partner to us throughout this investigation, but has also been a consistent partner to us throughout our fight, as Chief Shearbaum always says, against gangs, guns, and drugs. We have had a consistent partnership with the FBI that has aided us in suppressing our violent crime. And for our team members internally in the Atlanta Police Department that spent countless hours, investigative hours, a tandem approach, collaborative approach between homicide, between gangs, between our ACE unit, between our intelligence analysts, and several other internal units throughout the police department that spent countless hours working this case. I remember getting a call from the gang unit over 4th of July weekend asking to go up on a wiretap investigation. And subsequent to that call, the next 48 hours was spent on the phone with our district attorney's office, who was a great support to us throughout this investigation and trying to stand that T3 up. And through that investigation, our gang unit sacrificed vacations. Our gang unit sacrificed time with loved ones, sacrificed relationships throughout the course of this investigation. In 5,424 man hours from July 10th through October 30th, that was spearheaded by the Atlanta Police Gang Unit in a wire room to ultimately assemble key facts and elements leading us to where we are in the investigation. And for the investigation aspect of this, Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence that was orchestrated by adults in our city. And cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions. And you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions. Ultimately, there are components of this investigation that led back to a prison in the state of Georgia where an illegal phone, a contraband phone, was used to orchestrate these acts. There was a hit called by a high-ranking gang member on the opposite side of that opposing rapper's gang. And I'll tell you today, that gang was Goodfellas. Goodfellas Criminal Street Gang being one of the most hyper-violent gangs in the city of Atlanta. And we will pursue you relentlessly in making sure that we keep this city safe and suppressing violence throughout our city. And lastly, I'll say, as Major Malecki indicated, there is still a $50,000 reward that is on the table for additional information in relationship to this case. And our detectives and our officers, through all of the internal units and external units that you see here today, will be knocking on doors and working with this community that has been so resilient to collect additional information to continue to move this investigation forward. Thank you.